So I've got some dowsing rods here. These are the kind that have the little piece that go around the outside. Let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I guess the question I would ask is there anyone here who would like to interact with me and speak with me with the folks that are going to join us here? And so the way that this works is the rods cross for yes and they uncross for no. And if they go really wide no, that usually for me means that it's like a ridiculous question, and they would yeah, just don't answer, don't ask it. So so there is someone here. Great. Are you a spirit or ghost? I see they're really wide, kind of ridiculous question to ask that. So are you what we would consider an extraterrestrial or alien? So I feel it moving in my right hand here. I think it's probably coming back around. I don't know if it's going to come back around to a yes or not. We'll ask it again. Are you an alien or extraterrestrial? Not originally of planet Earth. Okay. Are you from a planet that is near to Earth? It's kind of like barely uncrossed, barely crossed. Maybe it's close, but not directly in relation to Earth. So, oh, well, now it crossed yes. So it is a planet that is near Earth. Is that correct? Again, for those that are... Okay, so it's a planet near Earth. Is it within our solar system? Yes, within our solar system. Let's go ahead and start closest to the sun and work our way outward. Is it Mercury? No. Is it Venus? Yes. So from the planet Venus. Do you live, or does your species live on the surface of Venus? No. Okay. Do they live, I guess, underground? Yes. All right. Since we're asking yes/no questions, I can't really ask, how long you've been there. But let's say, have you lived underground for longer than 1,000 years? Okay. Have you lived underground for longer than 100,000 years? No. Okay. At the time when your civilization lived under, or I guess started living underground at Venus, was that your home planet? Yes. Okay. Did you always live underground on Venus? No. Did you live, I guess, on the surface? Yes. Okay. So when you lived on the surface, were your cities vast and sprawling? Yes. Was there a specific event that caused you to move underground and off the surface? Yes. Okay. Was there this specific event that had caused you to move underground? Did it have anything to do with the sun? No. Okay. Did it have anything to do with you and your people, your population? Yes. Let's see. Is there anything that you would like to share with us regarding that event that occurred? Yes. Okay, so let me ask specific questions around the event that occurred on the planet Venus was caused the population that was living on the surface to move underground. So this event that was caused by your population, did it have anything to do with war? Big yes on war, big yes on war. Okay, thank you. Is that something that you all had always had difficulties with, war? No. Was it war initiated by you all, by your people, within your population? That's a no. Was it war initiated by an outside force? I feel it moving, coming back around. Let me ask you a question again. Was it war that was initiated by an outside force? Still the answer is no. So if it wasn't initiated by you and it wasn't initiated by an outside force, I wonder what it could have been. Were there at any point in time more than one species living on the planet Venus? Yes. Did the other species that was living on the planet Venus initiate the war? No. Okay, this gets a little tricky because we can only ask yes, no answers. Is there, let's see. So it wasn't initiated by you, it wasn't initiated by the other species, it wasn't initiated by an outside force. Was the war between intelligent species? Let's put it that way. No. Okay. Was it a war on a specific organism within the planet? Yes. Was the organism a bacteria or virus? Yes. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So the war that caused you all to have to move underground was against a bacteria or virus. Did you use a specific weapon against that bacteria or virus that ultimately caused the destruction of the planet's surface? Yes. Okay. Have you been visiting with humans on Earth, you or any member of your species? Yes. Okay. So I guess the next question is, so you mentioned that you and your population do visit humans on planet Earth. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And when you visit us on planet Earth, is it for a specific purpose? Big yes on that one. Okay. Is it to prevent us from making a similar decision? Looks like we've got a no on that one. Is it to encourage us to treat our planet differently? No. Okay. Is the reason that you visit humans on Earth for a specific positive, let's say, a positive intent? Yes, it is positive. Okay. It's really hard to ask yes/no questions. So is that when you talk about a positive reason that you visit humans on Earth from the planet Venus, where you live underground, is there a specific in that positive intent? Is it something to do with us and our relationship with the planet Earth? Yes. Okay. Is it to encourage us to treat the planet differently? Yes. Okay. Is it in our current rate of progression in how we are treating the planet, are we facing significant difficulties in the near future, near being defined within the next 100 years? Yes. Okay. Is it the difficulties that we would face? Is there an opportunity for us to turn those around, to prevent that from occurring and right our wrongs? Yes. Okay. What is the biggest opportunity that we have to do so? Is it around our use of oil? Yes. Okay. Is there an alternative fuel source that can provide the same, let's say, creature comforts that oil provides, but in an alternative way that does not impact the Earth? Is that appropriately to say? Yes, there is. Okay. Is it solar power? Big no on solar power. Solar power is not the answer to our creature comforts. Okay. Is it wind power? Again, big no on wind. Is it some power that we have not discovered yet? We're really big on wind, so it's got to come back around. Is it some power that we have not discovered yet? No. So humans have discovered this power that can replace oil that is not wind and not solar. Is that correct? Okay. Is it nuclear? No, it is not nuclear. But we have discovered it. That is correct. Has mainstream science discovered it? No, mainstream science has not discovered it. So it's the tinkerers that are doing things in their garage, in their backyard. Those are the people who have stumbled across this new power that we could replace oil with. Yes, definitely yes. Okay. What's the premise of this power that we can replace oil with? Is it something I've heard a lot lately? Is it the concept of the electric universe? Is that what we're dealing with? Yes. Okay. So anybody who's maybe watching or looking, who's looking at the possibility of how we can tap into, should I say, 0 point energy? Is that what we're talking about? 0 point energy. Yes. 0 point energy. When it moves back and forth like that, that's usually indicative of a very big yes, a happy yes, an excited yes. Okay, so it's 0 point energy, and yes, you could provide someone with details about how to harness that 0 point energy. Is there anything else? Let's see. Does 0 point energy make use of any technology that we've been able to develop thus far? Yes. Oh, big yes. It swung all the way around. Exuberant yes. We have the technology. Is this technology readily available for the tinkerers in the backyard and the garage to be able to make use of and harness 0 point energy? Yes. Okay. Is there in that 0 point energy that we can make use of, is there anything that prevents us from being able to utilize it today? Any technological restriction that we have? Yes, we have a technological restriction. Is it something that we haven't invented yet? Yes, we have not invented it yet. Is this thing that we have not invented yet, would it be something that we would recognize if we were able to invent it? Like we would know, hey, this is a component for capturing 0 point energy. Is that the case? No. Okay. Is this thing that we haven't invented yet that we can use to capture 0 point energy, is it... do we have the technical or scientific understanding to produce this thing that we need to produce? Yes. Okay. Is it simple? Is it something? No, definitely not simple. Okay. So it's something that we have the scientific knowledge and know how to produce, and we need to produce it in order to make use of 0-point energy. But the tinkerers that are working in their garages and their backyards, they figured out how to make use of, or at least collect some 0-point energy. Is that correct? Exuberant yes. Exuberant yes. You know, it spins all around like that. That's a big yes. Okay, so tinkerers in the backyard have figured out how to make use of 0-point energy, but yet we also haven't created it, the thing that we need to use it. We have the scientific knowledge and know how to do it. So if anybody out there is tinkering with 0-point energy, or at least have ideas around 0-point energy, according to the entity that I'm speaking with, again from the planet Venus, who lives underground, because the civilization was forced underground due to a war with a virus or bacteria, says that you have what you need in order to make use of and create what we need as a civilization to use 0-point energy. Okay, I'm going to switch the conversation here a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your species directly and your involvement with the species humans on Earth. Thinking about how long you've been visiting Earth and humans, has it been greater than 1,000 years? Yes. Okay. Has it been greater than 10,000 years? Yes. Okay. Has it been greater than 100,000 years? Yes. All right. Has it been greater than 1,000,000 years? No, not greater than 1,000,000 years. Big no. Big no. Okay, so you've not been visiting us for greater than 1,000,000 years, but you have been visiting us for greater than 100,000 years. Is this the first level of intelligence that we are presently at? Is this the first time that humans have reached this level of intelligence? No. No. So there was a more intelligent species, or at least at the same level of intelligence that we are today, before this level of humanity. Is that correct? Yes. And did that level of intelligence live, let's say, more than 20,000 years ago? Yes. More than 100,000 years ago? Yes. More than 500,000 years ago? No. Okay. The city of Atlantis that Plato wrote about, supposedly hearing from ancient Egyptians, is that theory of Atlantis, at least that there was a city called Atlantis, true? Yes. Is that the population of humans that lived greater than 100,000 years ago that was at least our level of intelligence today? Yes. All right, so humans have existed before. We were the Atlanteans, or at least our ancestors were, and for some reason Atlantis was wiped off on the plane of the Earth. Is that correct? Yes. When we were the humans that inhabited Atlantis, there's also been speak of a continent of Lemuria, or Mu. Was that also in existence? Yes. Okay. Let's see. The continent of Mu, was it in at the same time as the city of Atlantis? Yes. Was the city of Atlantis a part of Lemuria, or the continent of Mu? Yes. Okay. Something I've heard before is that maybe the Atlanteans were the more scientific branch of the Lemurians. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So the scientific branch of Lemuria, maybe they did something trying to tap into 0-point energy that caused their downfall. Would that be appropriately to say? Yes. Okay. So that we can avoid this catastrophe, we talk about maybe what they did to tap into or try to tap into 0 point energy that caused the demise of Atlantis? Is that okay to talk about? Yes. All right. So we talk about the possibility of Atlantis. They were scientists. They were doing something, trying to harness 0 point energy, cause their demise. Were they maybe they were drilling into the planet? Were they drilling into the planet in any way? Yes. Okay. And so when they were drilling into the planet, was the thought maybe to harness the core of the planet? Was that maybe the idea? Yes. And so they were drilling into the planet to harness the core of the planet, and when they did so, they encountered some catastrophe that caused the sinking of Atlantis. Is that a correct statement? Yes. When the sinking of Atlantis occurred, did it also cause did it impact Lemuria as well? Yes. Okay. So I've often heard that the island of Madagascar is the top of a mountain of the continent of Lemuria. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So it basically caused the flooding of not only Atlantis, but the flooding of Lemuria as well. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Okay. So we've often, I think, seen information from like Graham Hancock and maybe some others of his supporters that talk about the Younger Dryas being a potential source for the Great Flood that is spoke about in many religions and cultures across the world. Did the actions of the Atlanteans trigger the event that was the Younger Dryas? Yes. Big yes on that one. Big yes. Okay. So the actions they were taking, they did something to crack into the core, which caused all the ice on the planet to basically suddenly melt and flood the planet. Is that the gist of it? Yes. And so that caused the demise of Atlantis as well as the demise of Lemuria. Yes. So it would make sense that the Egyptians would have some knowledge of this, right? Because if Madagascar is a remnant of Lemuria, then Egypt would have been, really close to the Lemurian continent, as well as potentially to Atlanteans in general. So it would make sense that maybe Egypt was the archive, so to speak, of this data or all this information left over from the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. Is that correct? Was Egypt an archive left over? Yes. So Egypt was an archive left over from the destruction of Atlantis and Lemuria. And so that's when Plato went to visit Egypt and he heard this tale. That's why he wrote in his book about Atlantis, thus perpetuating the theory, the legend, but also passing on a little bit of that history. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Okay. Thank you. So if Atlantis sank because they tried to crack into the Earth's core, the message to us is don't try to crack into the Earth's core. Is that correct? Yes. So anybody who's out there working on 0 point energy or just energy in general, let's try not drill into the Earth's core. Okay, that'd be great. I definitely don't want to end up like Atlantis or Lemuria. And I think if anything, this individual that's talking to us from Venus is probably trying to basically tell us the same, is that sometimes we attack things too harshly. We make big swings which cause big problems, as opposed to making small, controlled, accurate swings which have lesser problems if they go wrong. Is that basically what you're trying to say? Yes. Okay. So I guess the humans that are remaining right now basically got reset. Is that kind of the gist of it? Okay, and so one of the things that I've also often thought about is that there were kind of like emissaries, if you will, that went out from the people who were left over after Atlantis and the Lemuria had sank to try to re-educate the humans that were left in the world, to give them maybe a jump start or a head start back at rebuilding civilization. Is this a true statement? Yes. Okay. And so when we think about maybe like with Mayans, Quetzalcoatl, was Quetzalcoatl one of these emissaries? Yes, Quetzalcoatl was one of the emissaries from the remnant of Lemuria and Atlantis to try to restart human population. Are there any direct lines back to Atlantis that are evident today in our current population? Yes. And so are those genetic markers in any way, or are they some other type of marker? I'm sorry, I just asked a non-yes/no question. Are they genetic markers? Yes. Do our scientists know how to understand those genetic markers? No. Big no. Big emphatic no. Sorry, that came all the way back around. Big emphatic no on that. Our scientists apparently see those markers and don't know how to understand and interpret them. I mean, I guess if it was something they were looking for, they would be able to. Is that a correct statement? Yes. Oh, big yes. Big yes. Big yes. Okay. So thinking about humans and within 100 years, we have the possibility of making irreparable damage to our planet that will be hard to come back from. But we have an opportunity with harnessing zero-point energy in order to be able to prevent that and even reverse this place that we're in. And you or a member of your species can provide someone with the information that they need to harness zero-point energy. Do you have a specific ask that you would make of that person? Yes. Okay, one of the things that I often hear about, or at least I hear from my channeling or just my guides in general, is that when you have something that can change the course of humanity, don't try to patent it. Don't try to make money off of it, because when you do, that's when the corporations of the world will just buy your patent and put it on a shelf and you'll never see it again. So if that's the idea, that you would say that whoever comes up with zero-point energy, share it openly with the world. Don't try to just make money off of it. Would that be the message that you're trying to convey? Yes. Big yes. Again, big yes. Both sides. Big yes. Emphatic yes. So if you're out there, you're listening to this, or maybe you're listening to this and you know someone who's been thinking about or talking about zero-point energy, and you share the word with them that if they come up with something, if they're able to come up with a solution for zero-point energy in their backyard, in their garage, in their workshop, don't try to patent it and make money. Instead, just put it out there for the world to take advantage of. Put it on YouTube, put it on TikTok, put it on Reddit, anywhere else that you can. Give detailed instructions. Let's all just agree that in this moment, there's not really, if the world is potentially not going to be here, or it's going to be significantly different in 100 years for our grandkids, let's not, just try to make the buck now. Let's try to figure out how we can make this a solution for everybody who can take advantage of it. So I guess kind of moving on from maybe the origins of humanity coming all the way back around. Are there any other planets in our solar system that are populated by an intelligent species? Yes. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move then out the list. Of course, we know we're intelligent on Earth. Let's go ahead and ask that question, though. Are there any other intelligent species on Earth other than humans? And when I say intelligent, I don't mean octopuses and dolphins, because I would think we would agree that those are intelligent. But let's say intelligent to the level of humans to be able to build harness tools, harness electricity, etc., etc.? Are there any other species like that living on planet Earth? It came all the way around. I think that's probably an emphatic yes. So, are these other species living among us, or are they somewhere else on the planet? Yes. So I asked two questions to kind of answer for both. Are they living among us? Yes. Are they living somewhere else on the planet? No. So they live among us, they interact with us every day. Do they look like humans? No. Do they have the ability to project an image that looks like humans? Yes. So they do not look like us. Are they bipedal? No, they are not bipedal. Do they have two arms? No, they do not have two arms. Do they have two eyes? No, they don't have two eyes. So they are distinctly different from us. Distinctly different from humans. And that's an answer of yes. And so maybe the thought is that because we fear what we don't understand, we might attack them. Is that kind of the idea? Yep, and so they live in plain sight. They live among us in plain sight, disguising themselves to try to avoid inducing fear in us that we would potentially use to harm, maim, or kill them. Yes, okay. So this other species that lives on Earth, are they older than the human race? No, they are not. Are they younger than the human race? Did they evolve at the same time as the human race? Yes, they did. Okay. It has often been postulated that the human race was created by the Anunnaki. Is this a correct statement? Yes. This other race that exists, are they also a creation of the Anunnaki? Yes. Are they what would be oftenly referred to as the Nephilim? Yes. So when we think about the Nephilim being kind of the offspring between humans and angels, are the angels that we talked about here, are they religious figures? Yes. Okay. Have they other distinction beyond religious figures? Yes. Okay. Are they protectors of the planet, the solar system, and other matter? Yes. Okay. Do they have they created, let's say, Nephilim on other planets? Yes. Were the Nephilim feared on those other planets? No. Big no. Big no on that one. So, do the Nephilim on those other planets look similar to the Nephilim that are on our planet? Again, big no. Okay. So, are the Nephilim on the other planets similar in appearance to the other inhabitants of those other planets? Yes. So in our case, our Nephilim, if you will, are distinct enough from humans that it induces fear, but this is not the case on other planets, correct? Correct. Okay.